That spring, we were all watching the events in space and wondering what the final effect would be. Astronomers argued over theory, while engineers got pretty excited about variables in magnetic fields. Mystics predicted earthquakes and the end of life as we knew it.
Tonight's film is one of the most unusual pieces of science fiction ever made, and it's about the most powerful creatures on the planet, ants. You could call it an eco-horror, or a philosophical experiment disguised as a B-movie. Either way, Phase 4 is what happens when all the ants on the planet finally get their shit together.
When the effect came, it was almost unnoticed, because it happened to such a small and insignificant form of life.
Phase 4 was the first and only feature film directed by Saul Bass, a man who was already a legend before he even took the job on. He was the graphic designer behind the titles for such classics as Psycho, Vertigo, Anatomy of a Murder and North by Northwest, to name but a few, those iconic openings that define not only a genre but an entire era of Hollywood, an era mythologized today. Bass believed that design could carry emotion just as powerful as any dialogue or performance, and with Phase 4 he set out to direct a film the way that he designed a title sequence, through rhythm, geometry and contrast. Paramount financed it, expecting another Andromeda strain. Instead, they got an abstract fable about evolution, something quiet, unsettling and, as it turned out, impossible to market. After a mysterious solar alignment, ant colonies across the world begin to change. They stop fighting against each other and start building. Vast symmetrical mounds in the desert, shapes so perfect they look as though they've been designed. Two scientists, Dr. Hubbs, played by Nigel Davenport, and Lesko, played by Michael Murphy, set up a research dome to study the phenomenon. They believe they're in control, but the ants have already evolved, moved past them. The doctors are observing the observers. At first it feels like a siege film. The scientists' equipment fails.
They've got into the generator. Don't move.
The food runs out and communication with the outside world breaks down.
We're cut off.
The ants isolate them, then dismantle their defences one by one. What starts as research turns into survival, but it's not random aggression. The ants are testing them. They're adapting and evolving, experimenting on the people that are supposed to be experimenting on them. A young woman, Kendra, survives a nearby ant attack and she's brought into the dome, and together the three humans become unwilling participants in a biological experiment they can't escape. And as the ants' patterns grow more complex, Lesko realises they're not trying to destroy humanity.
What the hell does it mean?
They're trying to communicate. Or maybe they're trying to do something worse.
It's not about confrontation, it's about evolution. The ants aren't monsters.
Functioning parts of the whole. Think of the society, James, with perfect harmony.
There's no ego and no ownership, just pure coordination.
Perfect division of labour, organised for preordained roles.
And when they act as one, they adapt a lot faster than we ever could.
Think of the building of elaborate and complex structures according to plans that they know nothing of, and yet execute perfectly.
All of the close-up sequences were filmed separately by Ken Middleton.
What do you do when you can't afford big, expensive effects? Well, you make something small. Everybody knows that.
Every frame of the ants is real. There are no effects or models, and that just makes it even creepier.
Phase 4 isn't your typical science fiction shocker. It's got a little bit of thought behind it. It feels like a once optimistic hippie re-watched 2001: A Space Odyssey and then tried to make sense of the 1970s.
It came out in 1974, when environmental dread was everywhere. There was the oil crisis. People were starting to talk about overpopulation.
You better believe it, man. We've got stuff and such to the point of yuck. So many its and things and whatnots that we're in a super-duper jam.
Hollywood was full of stories predicting our extinction. But Bass wasn't warning us. He was making a statement of our progress, asking us to judge how we thought we'd performed as a species.
The novelisation of the film was commissioned pre-production, and it features the original ending, before the studio bosses got their hands on it, which was actually filmed, and it's great. I've included some of it here, but it's worth checking the link in the description to go and watch it all. In it, the surviving humans and ants merge into a single new life form, and we get a glimpse of the utopian world that a society controlled by a single unifying consciousness might look like. That's Phase 4. It's a wordless, kaleidoscopic sequence full of colours, textures and shapes. Pretty trippy stuff. That reel was considered lost until it resurfaced at a screening in 2012. In the original film, it ends with Phase 4. Humanity isn't destroyed, it's simply absorbed into the next design. But in the original script, it ended after this has happened. It teases Phase 5. Now for me, that's when things start to get really interesting.
We knew then we were being changed and made part of their world.
When Paramount saw the first cut, they thought it was unfinished. They wanted a conventional ending, but Bass refused.
I want everything we do, that I do personally, to be beautiful. I don't give a damn whether the client understands that that's worth anything, or whether the client thinks it's worth anything, or whether it is worth anything. It's worth it to me.
The film was released quietly in a handful of cinemas and barely advertised. Neither tagline worked, and the film sank. When Phase 4 opened, critics were baffled. Variety called it beautiful but bloodless. The New York Times said it lacked humanity, which was kind of the point. Bass never directed another feature. He went back to graphic design, creating posters for The Shining, Cape Fear and Goodfellas, amongst many others.
When it first came out, people thought Phase 4 was cold. And maybe it is, but that's what I like about it. It's existential, and it feels like serious science fiction, even though it's clearly not. I remember watching this as a kid on BBC Two one night, and the scene where the ant emerges from the hole in the hand really freaked me out. See, there's no gore, and that's what makes it unsettling. The ants are frighteningly efficient. Phase 4 is also one of those films that make us question our place in the order of things. It confronts us with the idea that we're not the apex of evolution, and that thought is inherently scary. We don't want anyone above us on the food chain. We like the view from up here. I mean, imagine humans being replaced, usurped, or potentially even enslaved. Films that posit that idea are usually blockbuster disaster films. We can cope with an asteroid or a tsunami. That's impersonal, that's random. We can even handle aliens being more intelligent than us because they don't exist, do they? Do they? But ants, there are around 20 quadrillion on the planet, more than 2.5 million for every human. That just feels a bit too real. Tonight's film isn't about survival, it's about succession. The ants will take over the world. Now I'm just off to boil a kettle.
Those people are dead, don't you understand?
People get killed sometimes.